Have you ever felt like your struggles were never ending? Like you've done everything in your power, prayed, fasted, worked tirelessly, yet the breakthrough seems just out of reach? Let me tell you something sacred today. Your arrival here is no accident. If you are watching this right now, listening with your spirit tuned in, it's because God has ordained this moment for you. He has led you here, and what you are about to receive is not just encouragement, it is a divine decree. Let this truth anchor deep in your soul. You are a chosen one. Yes, you. Not because you were the strongest or the most perfect, not because you had all the answers, but because God in His perfect sovereignty has selected you for something higher, something eternal, something unshakable. And here's the divine message that will shift your spiritual atmosphere forever. From now on, it is no longer your duty to struggle. It is God's responsibility to provide. Take a deep breath. Let that settle into your soul. Because if you truly hear this, not just with your ears but with your heart, it will transform your entire life. From this moment forward, the battle you thought was yours to fight is no longer yours alone. The anxiety you've carried about your finances, your future, your family, it is now God's burden to carry. He has taken on the role of your divine provider, your supernatural source, your eternal sustainer. This is a divine shift. You've been grinding, striving, sacrificing, but it's time to stop struggling and start trusting. Let me say that again for your spirit. It's time to stop struggling and start trusting. There comes a moment in every believer's life where God draws a line in the sand and says no more. No more sleepless nights worrying about bills. No more shame from lack. No more self-reliance that leads to exhaustion. This is the season of supernatural provision. God is saying to you today, you've done your part. Now watch me do mine. You've believed in God. Now it's time to believe God. Believe that He is not only willing but fully committed to fulfilling His promise of abundance in your life. This isn't just about money. This is about the divine promise of fullness in peace, in purpose, in relationships, in joy, in security, and yes, in provision. Let's get something clear right now. The world teaches hustle. The kingdom teaches trust. You were not created to live a life of endless labor without fruit. You were not born again to carry burdens you were never meant to bear. As a chosen one, you were destined for divine rest in God's sufficiency, the God who spoke the galaxies into existence, the God who fed Elijah by ravens, the God who multiplied 5 loaves and 2 fish to feed thousands. That same God is now saying to you, your provision is my responsibility. Let that truth destroy every lie the enemy ever whispered to you about scarcity, about not being enough, about being forgotten, because He has not forgotten you. In fact, heaven has been watching you, watching your faithfulness, your tears, your silent prayers, your unwavering hope. And now the heavens are responding. This message is your divine appointment. God is stepping in, not just to bless you, but to establish you. Not just to provide, but to overflow. You are no longer living at the mercy of a broken system. You are now under divine economy, where seed time and harvest are guaranteed, and favor follows obedience. So, what does this mean practically? It means your job is no longer your source. Your business is no longer your provider. Your hustle is no longer your foundation. God is. And when God is your source, there is no drought that can stop your rain, no recession that can stop your provision, no mockery that can stop your promotion. God is saying, this is your season. I'm turning your struggle into strategy, your scarcity into surplus, your mourning into dancing, your delay into divine acceleration. Let your faith rise. Don't just hear these words. Agree with them. Let your spirit echo this truth. I am chosen, and God has taken on the duty to provide for me. He is not a man that He should lie. If He said you're stepping into abundance, believe it. Walk in it. Declare it over your life. I am no longer striving. I am supplied. I am no longer struggling. I am supported. I am no longer lacking. I am living in divine overflow. This is not hype. This is heaven's reality. And if you're still listening, that means your spirit recognizes this truth. Something inside of you knows, this message is for me. You're about to enter into a new dimension of divine confidence, not based on self, but grounded in the unshakable nature of God's promises. Let the old mindset go. Let the poverty spirit break. Let the worry die. Because this is your hour. The river of provision has already begun to flow. You didn't earn it. You can't force it. But by God's grace, you are positioned to receive it. There comes a moment, so quiet yet so powerful, where everything changes. Not just externally, but internally. Deep within you, something shifts. The stress you've carried for years starts to lift. That inner weight, that sense of being overwhelmed, begins to break. Why? Because for those chosen by God, there comes a divine point in the journey where the struggle ends and the blessings begin. And that moment is now. This is not motivational fluff. This is not some shallow feel-good speech. This is a prophetic awakening, a declaration from heaven itself. You have stepped into a sacred transfer. The responsibility of wealth no longer rests on your shoulders. It now belongs to God. Read that again. Let it burn into your spirit. It now belongs to God, the creator of the universe, the one who hung the stars in place, who formed you in your mother's womb, who knows every hair on your head. He has taken ownership of your financial destiny. This isn't just a nice thought, this is a spiritual fact. And that fact is going to change everything. No longer do you need to worry about how much you hustle, how many hours you grind, or whether you're doing enough to make ends meet. God is not calling you to exhaustion. He is calling you to trust. His abundance is not earned by sweat or tears. It is inherited through faith. Imagine this with me, a river that never runs dry, a current that never stops flowing. No matter how much is drawn from it, it always replenishes, always refreshes, always continues. That's what God's provision is like. That's what you're stepping into. You're not just getting a temporary fix. This is not a one-time blessing. You're entering into a divine covenant of consistent, overwhelming, supernatural supply. A promise sealed not by your effort but by His faithfulness. And God is not a man that He should lie. It's time to take the pressure off yourself. Stop measuring your worth by your income. Stop believing the lie that you have to do it all on your own. That mindset is not from heaven. It's from fear, and fear has no place in the life of someone chosen by God. The abundance that's about to flow into your life is not coming because of your performance. It's coming because of your position. You're positioned in His promise. And when you're in position, provision becomes your portion. Let me say this plainly. The days of wondering how you'll make it through the month are over. The days of panicking at unexpected bills, of choosing between gas and groceries, of praying with tears for a miracle while secretly doubting one will come, those days are behind you now. Because the responsibility has shifted. God has taken over. And when God takes over, you can rest. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally realize He is perfect and He's in charge. This isn't permission to be passive. This is an invitation to trust, to walk forward boldly, not in fear, but in faith. Your mindset must change if you're going to walk in this new season. You're not scraping by anymore. You're not barely surviving. You're walking in supernatural provision, a provision that touches not just your finances but your soul, your peace, your future, your identity. Because true prosperity isn't just about money. It's about fullness. Fullness of joy, fullness of peace, fullness of vision. When God provides, He doesn't just give you what you need. He gives you more than you imagined, in ways you never expected. Right now you may feel uncertain, and that's okay. Transformation always begins with tension, but lean into it. Don't back away. God is saying to you, this is your moment. Step in. Watch what I do when you finally let me lead. When you surrender your fear and embrace divine confidence, everything shifts. You no longer walk like someone begging for scraps. You walk like a child of the King. You walk with assurance, with dignity, with boldness. You stop apologizing for dreaming big. You stop settling for less because of your past. You stop shrinking when people question your faith. Why? Because your provision is no longer your burden. It's God's duty. And He doesn't fail. Can you imagine how your life changes when you live like this? Waking up each day not with anxiety but with assurance. Going to work not out of desperation but out of purpose. Making plans not based on fear of lack but based on vision, on calling, on the promises of God. This is more than mindset. This is a spiritual reality, a covenant, an unshakable commitment from the Most High to His chosen ones. From now on, stop calculating what you can afford. Start declaring what God has promised. Stop budgeting with fear. Start believing with faith. Stop seeing yourself as a survivor. Start seeing yourself as a steward of abundance. Because as of this moment, your wealth is no longer your struggle. It is His assignment. Let that truth settle into your bones. Breathe it in. Speak it out loud. Write it on your mirror. Prophesy it over your home. Every time you feel the old anxiety rising up, remind yourself, it's not my job to worry anymore. It's God's duty to provide. And oh, how He provides. He provides in deserts. He provides through strangers. He provides in the midnight hour when everyone else gives up. He provides when the bank says no, when the odds say impossible, when your own mind says, I don't see a way. God says, watch me make one. This isn't theory. This is testimony. Look back at your life. You've already seen it happen. The rent paid when there was nothing left. The job offer that came out of nowhere. The support when you didn't know who to call. Those were not coincidences. Those were confirmations. And now, He's doing it again. Bigger, deeper, stronger. So let go. Release the burden. Stop wrestling with how. Start resting in who. Your future is not fragile. It's secure. Your path is not uncertain. It's anointed. Your resources are not running out. They're rising up. Why? Because you're chosen. And for the chosen, God takes responsibility. This is your divine inheritance. Claim it. Speak it. Live it. And never forget it. From now on, it is God's duty. When you finally understand that the responsibility of your provision now rests with God, something remarkable begins to happen. You begin to experience peace. But not just any peace. This is a peace that cannot be explained by circumstances or logic. It's a peace that transcends all understanding. It settles in your heart, calms your thoughts, and anchors your emotions. It tells your soul, you are safe, you are covered, you are chosen. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about living in a higher one. Because when God becomes the source of your provision, you no longer operate based on worldly systems or temporary trends. You step into the kingdom economy, an economy rooted not in supply and demand, but in faith and obedience. This is not theory. This is truth, and it is truth that sets you free. The kind of peace you're stepping into isn't passive. It's powerful. It doesn't mean you sit still and do nothing. It means you walk with a calm assurance, knowing that as you move in obedience, God is moving ahead of you. He's already prepared the way. The provision is not just coming, it's already been released. You're just stepping into it one faithful step at a time. When your mind is aligned with this truth, everything changes. The fear of the future begins to fade. The anxiety that kept you awake at night starts to melt away. Why? Because you know that your life is no longer up to your efforts alone. The Most High is now involved, and He doesn't miss. The moment you accepted your divine calling, something shifted. Maybe you didn't feel it. Maybe the world didn't notice. But in the realm of the Spirit, heaven stood at attention. Angels were assigned. New doors were activated. You stepped out of a life defined by human effort and into a reality shaped by supernatural provision. That shift, though unseen, is now becoming undeniable. You're not climbing uphill anymore with bloodied hands and tired feet. You're now being carried by the grace of God, and His grace doesn't run out. What once took years of toil, he can now accomplish in moments. What once required your constant striving now flows naturally because you've chosen to trust him. This doesn't mean life becomes perfect, but it does mean your response to life becomes powerful. Because you are no longer reacting out of fear, you're responding in faith. The old you worried about how you'd survive. The new you walks confidently, knowing you were never meant to just survive, you were called to thrive. Understand this. Abundance in God's kingdom is holistic. It's not just about money in your account. It's about richness in your relationships, clarity in your purpose, health in your body, and joy in your spirit. God doesn't bless in fragments, he blesses in fullness. And when you embrace this truth, you start to notice something incredible. You become unshakable, not because challenges stop coming, but because you now know that God is with you in every single one. You've stopped fighting battles that were never yours to fight. You've stopped carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. You've released the weight of performance and picked up the yoke of peace. And this peace, it's not just personal, it's contagious. People around you will begin to notice the difference. Your calm in the chaos, your joy in the pressure, your rest in the unknown. They'll ask, "How are you so confident?" And you'll say with boldness, "Because God has taken over, and he never fails." This new season you're entering requires a new mindset. No more living paycheck to paycheck, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, relationally. No more waiting for the next good thing to feel safe. You are already safe. You are already provided for. You are already walking in promise. From this place of confidence, you begin to dream again. You begin to plan without fear. You begin to believe not just for what's possible, but for what's supernatural. Because you know that the one backing you up is not limited by markets, circumstances, or opinions. God doesn't check with the world before blessing his chosen ones. When he decides to release his goodness, no power in hell can stop it. You are stepping into a confidence that's not based on your bank account, your resume, or your background. It's based on your identity in Christ. And that identity says, you are loved, you are seen, you are chosen, and you are provided for. Think of the confidence a small child has when they know their parent will take care of them. They don't worry about where the food will come from or how the bills are paid. They just trust. They rest. That's the kind of divine trust God wants you to walk in. Not a naive ignorance, but a deep spiritual knowing. A quiet strength that says, I don't know how God will do it, but I know he will. Because he always does. And the more you lean into this truth, the lighter your life becomes. The more joy you'll feel. The more peace you'll radiate. The more boldness you'll carry. You'll stop shrinking when problems appear and start standing tall, knowing that your God is bigger than anything you face. This isn't positive thinking. This is prophetic alignment. You are aligning your mind, your heart, your decisions with the truth of God's word. And that word is clear. My God shall supply all your needs according to his riches in glory. That's not a possibility. That's a promise. From now on, let your confidence come not from what you see, but from what you know. You know God is faithful. You know he provides. You know he keeps his word. And because of that, you can walk forward with your head high, your heart full, and your spirit expectant. This is your moment, not because you've earned it, but because God has appointed it. He has called you to walk, not in fear, but in faith, not in survival mode, but in spiritual overflow. And when you walk like this, people will notice, they will ask, and your life will be the answer. So rise, chosen one. Walk confidently, speak boldly, live freely, because your provider is not limited, not tired and not done. He's just getting started. And remember, this is just the beginning. From now on, it is God's duty. When you step into divine abundance, everything shifts. It's not just about a financial breakthrough, though yes, that's coming too. It's about something deeper, something wider, something far more personal. It's a shift in how you see the world, and more importantly, how you see yourself. You begin to understand that being chosen by God means you've been marked for overflow, not as a reward for your striving, but as a reflection of his favor. You no longer hustle to survive. You live to glorify. That shift is more powerful than most people realize, because we've been trained by culture, by trauma, by circumstances, to believe that we have to earn everything, struggle for everything, fight for every inch of peace. But not in the kingdom. In the kingdom of God, you step into what's already been prepared for you. You enter into rooms you didn't build and harvest from fields you didn't plant. That's the reality of divine abundance. This abundance is not just financial, it's holistic. It touches your health, your relationships, your purpose, and it begins with a revelation. You were never meant to live under constant pressure. You were designed to thrive under promise. Now, listen closely, because the enemy wants nothing more than to keep you bound in a mindset of lack. That's why he works overtime to fill your thoughts with fear, to distract you with scarcity, to convince you that your current condition is your permanent identity. But that's a lie. And today, the truth is breaking it apart. The truth is, God has already declared a different reality over your life. One of more than enough. One of divine appointments, divine timing, and divine support. The truth is, you are transitioning from effort to ease, not because life suddenly got easier, but because you stopped doing it on your own. You gave it back to God. And now He's showing you what it means to walk in supernatural grace. Can you feel the shift? You're not pushing the mountain anymore. You're speaking to it. And it's moving. What used to exhaust you now empowers you, because you know who's really in control. Here's what you need to understand. When you live in God's abundance, it's not about having everything you want. It's about knowing you already have everything you need. That's real freedom. That's real joy. And that's the kind of life you've been chosen for. This revelation will start to transform everything. You'll stop approaching life like a beggar hoping for scraps. You'll start walking like a son or daughter of the King, knowing that the palace is your home and provision is your inheritance. You'll carry yourself differently, speak differently, expect differently. When that happens, people may not understand it. Some might doubt it. Others may even mock it. And you need to be ready for that. Because whenever God begins to elevate you, it stirs attention, not just from heaven, but from those who never saw you coming. But here's the good news. Their doubt doesn't stop God's doing. What He has prepared for you, no one can cancel. Their opinions don't hold the pen. God's promises do. So rise up in confidence, not arrogance, confidence. Confidence in God's word. Confidence in your identity. Confidence in your inheritance. Because this is not a trend, it's a covenant. The life of struggle, of scarcity, of grinding without fruit. That chapter is over. You're now stepping into the part of your story where divine provision becomes your daily reality. Not because you've earned it, but because God is faithful, and He's proven time and time again that when He speaks, it happens. If you need proof, just look back. Every breakthrough you've experienced, every time a need was met at the last second, every door that opened when you were on the verge of giving up, those weren't coincidences. They were confirmations, evidence that God has always been present, always been your provider, and He's not about to stop now. So lift your head, straighten your spine, set your eyes forward. You are no longer bound by the burden of provision. God has taken it on Himself. And when God takes responsibility, the outcome is never in question. This kind of divine abundance doesn't mean your bank account will always look full, but it does mean your life will never feel empty. You'll walk into rooms with peace. You'll face problems with assurance. You'll make decisions with clarity because you're being led not by fear but by faith. From this place you will become unstoppable. Why? Because you're no longer operating from depletion. You're operating from overflow. And when you overflow, everyone around you gets blessed too. Your family, your workplace, your church, your community. Your abundance becomes a testimony, not just of what God did for you, but of what He can do through you. That's the beauty of being chosen. It's not just about what you receive, it's about what you release. You become a vessel, a carrier of peace, a distributor of hope, a reminder to others that if God can do it for you, He can do it for them. So don't hide what God is doing. Don't downplay it. Don't let fear of judgment silence your praise. Declare it boldly. I am walking in divine abundance. My life is no longer governed by lack. I am covered. I am supplied. I am chosen. Let that be your anthem. Let it guide how you wake up, how you speak, how you dream, how you pray. Because this is the moment where everything changes. The shift isn't coming, it's already here. The favor isn't approaching, it's already surrounding you. The breakthrough isn't in the distance, it's knocking on your door. Will you open it? Will you receive it? Will you finally believe that God is not just able but willing? This is not hype. It's holy. It's not temporary. It's eternal. It's not about what's in your hands. It's about what's in His. So breathe in this truth. Let it expand inside of you. Let it rearrange your expectations and reset your vision. Because from now on, your life is not defined by struggle. It's marked by overflow. And always remember this. From now on, it is God's duty. As you begin to embrace this truth of divine provision, you'll feel a shift not only in your circumstances, but in your confidence. You'll no longer walk with hesitation, wondering if your needs will be met, questioning whether your prayers are heard or fearing that the breakthrough may never come. Instead, you will rise with an unshakable assurance that every step you take is supported by a power far greater than yourself. This is not blind optimism. This is spiritual confidence rooted in God's covenant with you. Think for a moment about a child. A child doesn't worry about whether they'll eat today or whether they'll have a place to sleep. They don't stress over how the bills will be paid. Why? Because they trust their parents. They know someone is taking care of them. That's the level of trust God is calling you into. Not a childish faith, but a childlike one. Not naivete, but divine confidence. You're not expected to figure everything out anymore. You're invited to rest in knowing that God already has. That doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. This isn't about laziness or passivity. This is about active faith. It's about moving forward with obedience while letting go of the pressure to control every outcome. You're no longer relying on human strength, you're relying on divine strategy. When you do your part, God does what only He can do. That's the secret of the chosen. They live by partnership with heaven. When you truly get this, you'll begin to release the stress that's been eating at you for years. You'll stop second-guessing every decision, stop replaying every failure, stop overanalyzing the future, because your confidence is no longer in the how, it's in the who, and the one you're trusting is faithful, powerful, and always on time. That's what divine provision does. It frees you. It untangles your spirit from anxiety. It silences the voice of doubt. It replaces panic with peace. You start waking up differently. You go to sleep with a lighter heart. You speak with clarity. You walk with grace. Because your life is now anchored not in uncertainty, but in the promise that God provides. Let's be clear, this isn't a prosperity gimmick. This isn't hype. This is biblical truth. From Genesis to Revelation, God reveals Himself as a provider. From Abraham's ram in the bush to Jesus feeding the multitudes, to the apostles never lacking even while persecuted, He's always been faithful. And He hasn't changed. If He could part seas, rain manna from heaven, and resurrect the dead, do you really think providing for your rent, your job, or your next opportunity is too much for Him? Not a chance. When you grasp this, it changes how you move. You no longer hesitate to step into big visions. You stop disqualifying yourself from opportunities. You begin to believe that if God gave you the dream, He's already made provision for its fulfillment. You stop waiting for someday and start acting like today is the day the Lord has made, for your favor, for your breakthrough, for your next open door. And here's the beautiful thing. The more you trust Him, the more room He has to work. When you stop trying to do everything in your own strength, you create space for miracles. When you surrender the outcome, you unlock the overflow. Because God never asked you to carry the weight. He only asked you to carry the faith. That's Why he's saying today, stop striving, start aligning, stop stressing, start trusting, stop chasing things and start chasing me, and watch how the blessings chase you down. Because divine provision isn't about scraping by. It's about living in more than enough. It's about overflow that touches every corner of your life. When God takes over, the provision doesn't just cover your needs. It positions you to be a blessing to others. You see, your abundance is not just for you. It's a testimony, a tool, a weapon. It empowers you to impact lives, to fund purpose, to serve others, to support ministries, to leave legacy. This is what divine wealth is for, not luxury but legacy. Not greed, but giving. Not status, but service. And when you get this deep in your spirit, it shifts your motivation. You stop praying for wealth just to escape lack. You start believing for it because you know it enables you to fulfill your assignment. God never promised riches for riches' sake. He promised provision for purpose. And when your heart aligns with His mission, there's no limit to what He'll entrust to your hands. He's looking for people He can trust with increase. People who won't let wealth change their worship. People who will still bow low when the numbers in the bank account grow high. People who understand that the more you're given, the more you're expected to steward with integrity, with compassion, with wisdom. And you, chosen one, you are that person. God has seen your heart. He's watched your tears. He's tested your motives. And now, He's preparing to release the next level. Not just so you can live comfortably, but so you can live purposefully. But first, you must let go of the fear of not having enough, the fear of failing, the fear of success even. Let it all go. Because fear and faith cannot live in the same house. One must go so the other can grow. From this day forward, refuse to let fear run your decisions. Let God lead them. Let peace be your confirmation. Let wisdom guide your steps. But don't delay your destiny waiting for all the pieces to make sense. Move now, trust now, believe now. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're not underqualified. You are chosen. And when God chooses you, He equips you, He backs you. He surrounds you with favor. He releases what you need when you need it. But it begins with surrender. It begins with letting go of the wheel and saying, God, I trust you. I trust your timing. I trust your ways. I trust your plan. I trust that you will provide, and He will. So whatever you've been carrying, lay it down. Whatever weight you've been dragging, release it. You were never meant to do this alone. You were never meant to figure it all out. You were meant to walk in divine partnership with a God who delights in providing for His children. This is your moment. The page is turning. The pressure is lifting. The flow is beginning. It's not coming through striving. It's coming through surrender. So step into it, and remember, there's a divine truth you need to let sink deep into your spirit. When you begin to walk in your calling as one of God's chosen, your financial future is no longer built on limitation. It's built on divine intention. And that means one thing: your wealth is no longer a mystery or a maybe. It's a manifestation. The more you embrace God's promises, the more you begin to see what has always been yours unfold before your eyes. Your mindset changes, your language changes, your atmosphere shifts. Because once you truly believe that provision is God's responsibility, you stop playing small. Doubt loses its power the moment you align your thoughts with God's word. The more you speak life, the more life shows up. The more you declare His promises, the more those promises take form in your reality. This is not hype. This is the law of the Spirit. You reap what you sow, and when you sow trust, obedience, and bold faith, you will reap favor, provision, and purpose. But here's the catch. Many people sabotage their own breakthroughs because, deep down, they still believe they are unworthy of the blessing. They've been told that wealth is for other people, that success is reserved for someone more educated, more privileged, more perfect. They've allowed the voices of doubt to drown out the voice of destiny. But not you. Not anymore. You are chosen. And when God chooses, He doesn't choose randomly. He chooses intentionally. You are not an afterthought. You are a vessel of divine wealth, not just so you can live a good life, but so you can do a greater work. The wealth that's coming to you is not just for comfort, it's for calling. It's not just to elevate your standard of living, it's to elevate your standard of giving. You are called to bless others, to build what matters, and to live with impact that outlives you. You must begin to see wealth as a tool, a weapon in the hands of the righteous, a vehicle to fulfill your divine purpose. Whether that purpose is to support ministries, feed the hungry, build legacy projects, or create spaces for healing and growth, God is not going to leave you unequipped. In fact, He is preparing even now to place resources into your hands that will match the weight of your assignment. That's how He works. He funds what He ordains. So what's the next step? You must banish doubt, every trace of it. You must begin to speak with authority, pray with power, and dream with courage. Because the size of your vision is a reflection of the size of your faith. And let me remind you, you serve a limitless God. There is no ceiling on His generosity, no limit to His ability, no obstacle too great for His favor. The more you walk in alignment with His word, the more you begin to see doors open that you never knocked on. Opportunities find you. Favor follows you. Divine appointments line up with uncanny precision. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's the manifestation of what was already done in the Spirit, now being revealed in the natural. And it's only the beginning. You are not meant to just get by. You are meant to live in overflow. But not just financial overflow. Overflow in your thoughts, your emotions, your relationships, your creativity, your leadership. This is what divine wealth looks like. It touches every area of your life. It flows into your household, your business, your ministry, your ideas. And as it flows, it grows. And as it grows, it blesses everything around you. You must understand, wealth is not just about material gain. True wealth is knowing your source will never run dry. That no matter what happens around you, recession, crisis, opposition, there is a heavenly flow that never stops. You walk in peace when others panic. You rise while others fall. You see increase when others see lack. Why? Because your economy is not of this world, and this kind of wealth has a weight to it, a holy responsibility. With divine blessing comes divine purpose. That purpose? To make a difference, to fund revival, to create generational stability, to rewrite family legacies, to heal broken systems, to be light in dark places. This is why the enemy has tried so hard to convince you that abundance is wrong, that wealth is evil, that success is prideful. Because if he can stop your belief, he can stop your breakthrough. But the lie ends here, because you're not chasing money, you're chasing mission. And when you chase mission, money follows, provision flows, breakthroughs happen, kingdoms advance. God is not calling you to chase after material things. He's calling you to chase after Him. But when you do, all these things shall be added. You don't have to strive. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to compromise. You just have to believe, obey, and walk in what's already been given. It's already yours. But your belief is the key that unlocks the door. And when you believe without doubting, you start to live with expectation. You start to prepare like it's already on the way. You pray differently. You move differently. You build differently. You walk into rooms like you belong, because you do. You make decisions from a place of peace, not pressure. You say yes to things you used to be afraid of, and you say no to things that no longer align with your calling. You become bold, because you know that God is backing you up. This is the life of the chosen. It's not perfect, but it is powerful. It's not always easy, but it is purposeful. You're not walking alone. You're walking with grace. You're walking in favor. You're walking in the kind of wealth that doesn't just bless you, it establishes you. So what do you do now? You embrace the truth. You speak the truth. You live the truth. Declare it. I am not meant for lack. I am not created for struggle. I am chosen for abundance. I am trusted with provision. I am a vessel of purpose. I am living in divine wealth. Let that become your language. Let that become your prayer. Let that become your rhythm. Because the overflow has already started, and the world will soon see what happens when a chosen one dares to believe in the unstoppable provision of God. And always remember,